Okay, y'all, I am a few minutes late and I'm sorry. I was having a hard time getting my camera connected and everything, but I'm here now. So, welcome to day 18 of our journal challenge. And today we are going to be talking about acceptance. If you were following along yesterday, we talked about awareness, and I mentioned to you that in order for you to have acceptance, you need to first have awareness of what's going on. So give me just a second. I want to make sure that I put everything on the screen here. So if you want to get the questions to your inbox, you can click on the link, and you can also text Journal 30 to 39492. 39492. Let's see. Like I said, we're on day 18. Okay, cool. So again, we're talking about acceptance today. And if you've been following along, we've talked about so many different concepts throughout the last 2 weeks. We are on week 3. I cannot believe we've already got through the month almost. And again, I told you all yesterday and the day before that this is helping me to be more accountable because I've committed to be here with you every evening at 8 o'clock. And so I don't take for granted that you are listening, whether you're listening to the live version or you might be tuning into the recorded version as well. So when we think about our journey of self-discovery, I always tell you to make sure that as you look at each day, you are tuning in and checking in to see if you have done anything today to bring you closer to your best self. This is something that you have to do and check in with yourself. We set different goals and intentions and quote unquote ways to be, and things that we want to, how we want to aspire to be. Hey, Lori. Hey. But we need to make sure that the things that we are doing are in alignment with that. Remember, on one of our days, we talked about being in alignment. That's one of our words. And in order for us to be in alignment, we also need to make sure that we are setting different boundaries up, which that was day 2. And so yesterday, again, we talked about having awareness and about checking in and figuring out what triggers different emotions, and also to figure out if it's triggered by a person, a circumstance. Again, we cannot accuse people of making us feel a certain type of way, but they can trigger something that's related to a wound that we already have. And once we have awareness, then we have acceptance. And so the thing about acceptance is it's a choice. You're froze, Lori? Yeah. I hope no one else is froze. We don't need to be froze in the beginning. This keeps happening like day to day, so we don't want that. So Lori, check back in. Let me know if you can hear me, okay? So again, not awareness, I'm sorry, acceptance. It is a choice, and it is not an easy choice. It's a hard choice. However, it's something that we have to practice once we have awareness around. Hey, Veronica, cool. Okay, good. Once we have awareness around certain things. However, life will give us plenty of opportunities to practice acceptance. It will give us plenty of opportunities to practice acceptance. The more we go through our day-to-day, whether it's something that we have to deal with, in our personal life or in our professional life, we will have opportunities to put this into practice. And so what I always like to think about is the serenity prayer. It's actually a favorite prayer of mine, and I wanted to read it, but I also want to read the second part of it because it's not usually read. So anyway, so the serenity prayer, which most of us know, is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so the next part is what we usually don't hear. It's really 3 parts, but I'm just going to read the second part. And it says, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. And so what that's basically telling us is that a lot of times things will arise in our life that don't feel so good, that we really don't want to experience. It might be painful, it might touch wounds that we have, but optimally, if we just live in the present moment and stop fretting, then we will have peace around the situation if we can accept it. Which brings us to our first journal question around acceptance. And it basically is just a yes or no. It says, when situations arise in your life, do you resist and fight against them? That is just a check-in question. You have to check in with yourself and think about, maybe it's something that's going on right now, and you have to look at, am I in acceptance about this, or I'm trying to resist it? Am I trying to fight it? And so when you choose to fight something and resist something, what happens, hey, Jennifer, what happens is you create inner turmoil for yourself. It becomes hard for you, instead of you just, stopping, just like the serenity prayer said, accept the things that you cannot change. There are just some things that are going to be hard. Some things are just going to create issues. And instead of trying to fight it, you just have to let it flow. However, I don't want you all to confuse. Acceptance is not weakness. It doesn't mean that you are conforming or being mediocre. You're just letting things go in the natural way that they are supposed to. Some things are just a divine will, and so we have to look at things in that way. But again, as I told you yesterday, before we can move there, if you don't choose to recognize what's triggering certain emotions in you, and you don't choose to name that emotion, I told you yesterday to stop saying, I feel some kind of way. Say what it is. How do you feel? Instead of just saying a blanket statement. And so when you can really check in and say, I'm hurt, or I feel good, I feel excited or frustrated, or I'm happy, when you name the emotion, then you can walk into the realm of acceptance, because now you've understood, hey, this triggered this feeling in me, this person or this circumstance has triggered this, and I'm going to accept this. If we stay in the present moment, we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So instead of us being fretful and worrying about it, we just need to stay in a positive space of mind. And that's where a lot of stress happens to come from. Now, there are times when we might need to be persistent in something. It's not about just laying down and not having any type of control, but you have to know, which is why when we can just go back to the serenity prayer, which is why I like it. Is this something that I can change? Do I have control over that? And that's where wisdom comes in, because here's the thing, knowledge and wisdom are not the same. Just because you know something doesn't mean that you have wisdom about it. There are plenty of people who can recite, they know facts, everything, but as Mama says, you just don't have no common sense. So you need to have some wisdom, or what we call mother wit, or for the fellas, you can have father wit too. But there is a difference. So you have to check in, and that again comes into, is this in alignment with my purpose, and is this in alignment with who I'm aspiring to be? And so when you know who you are, and who you are developing to be, then you can move into, do I need to persist in this area, or do I need to just stay here and have some acceptance around it? It's really hard, because what we need to understand is, if you don't get it the first time, it's going to come back. Situations keep coming in our lives as lessons, and to teach us and to grow us, and they will appear in different forms until we master it. And so that is why when we talk about life being a journey, you're going to experience different things on your journey that you need to have some mastery in. And we get it at different times of our life. So it's really really imperative that we are being mindful. Remember, that was one of our words. We're being mindful that we are being respectful of other people's journey, because just because we have mastered a concept or mastered a certain life skill, we don't know what another person's experience is. Remember, I told you that your perception is based on your own experiences. And if I haven't experienced something at all, or maybe in the way that you have, then it might be harder for me to maybe gain acceptance around something because I haven't experienced it. Okay. So, excuse me. So what I want you to do is, when we think about acceptance and we kind of think about the serenity prayer and things that we have control over or that we don't, I want you to think of something that you're choosing to not accept. Okay, just think about it. Again, as we go through our journal questions, I am asking that you have a journal dedicated to our, our journey this month. And this might not be something that I don't expect you again to answer the questions during the live video if it doesn't come up for you. You might have to really sit in and really check in. But think about something that you're choosing not to accept, and think about what is costing you emotionally. Is it stressing you out? And again, I don't want to put a negative spin on it, but typically we don't accept things that hurt us, that cause pain. It's kind of an easier path to accept something that has some feel good around it, okay? But think about that and think about what it is costing you. And I said costing you emotionally, but whatever is costing you. Are you worrying about it? Are you losing sleep? Are you not eating? Whatever it is, are you overeating? Whatever your thing is that you do when you're having a hard time with acceptance, just really check in with yourself and think about, have I experienced this before? Is this a perpetual lesson that I don't get it? Think about that. Again, when we think about that, we're going to kind of blend and merge the concept from yesterday about awareness, because they both go hand in hand. You can't have acceptance without awareness. You have to be able to take that vulnerable look in the mirror and say, I am feeling whatever the fill in the blank is, and it's being triggered by A, B, or C. And what is this? And has this happened before? Or is this something that continues to trigger me? Am I continually triggered by this person, continually triggered by this situation? Or maybe it's like a blanket concept in your life that it could be grief, that triggers you. And grief is nothing but loss. So we always think about grief in a way of someone dying, because that is a loss when someone transitions away from here. But grief is nothing but loss. And so you might have grief triggers if maybe you feel like you're fearful of losing a position, in your career, in your workplace, or maybe you are scared of the loss of your reputation, so you act out in ways that protect that's not healthy for you. Those are examples. So think about ways that you are triggered. That way you can gain acceptance around it, so you can move into healing. That is what this is all about, getting you to a place of healing. You have to have awareness and you have to have acceptance. Now, when we think about healing, we're talking about breaking free. And we know that, y'all know my favorite thing to do is go back to day one. And day one was about bondage. Okay, and so I know you all are super smart, and so you understand that as you break free and have acceptance and awareness around things, and then when you're making choices that are in alignment with your purpose, okay, and when you have boundaries set up, then you're coming out of bondage and moving into a place of freedom. We talked about freedom one day, and also you're starting to heal, okay? Okay. I'm going to go into today's affirmation. I do want you all to know that there's like a delay. So if you make a comment, there's like a 2 or 3 second delay because of the software that I'm using. So I don't get it immediately. So if you've said something, I am not ignoring you. Okay. So let's talk about today's affirmation, which says, again, as I started out, I told you acceptance is a choice. And so the affirmation is acceptance is a choice. I choose to accept my life presently and positively. I choose to accept my life presently and positively. So think about that as you move forward in your journal, and just think about, do you have a negative reaction when it's time to accept things? Are you fighting against it? I paused because I thought we got disconnected. Hopefully we didn't. So, but anyway, that brings us to the close of day 18. We are on our 3rd week. And again, I do have so much gratitude for you all for listening. I hope that this has been just a help for you, and it's been, a point of the day that you look forward to. If you want to get the questions to your inbox, or not only that, but just to be able to access the past videos without having to scroll through the feed, text journal 30 to 39492, or click the link that's in the description. Again, I am loading these videos up to YouTube as well, so it'll be easier to access in that way. So if you have anything you want to say privately, you can inbox me. That is fine. And you can also, you can email me too offline, Katrina@katrinajoy.com, Katrina@katrinajoy.com. So again, I thank you, and I will see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.